All right. Hi. Good evening, Lourdes. Good evening, Sharai. Thanks for being in class. I'm going to start this class with you. We're starting actually with the fourth unit. This is the last one, the last week in which we're going to be working together. All right. Afterwards, of course, you have one more course. You're going to be with a different teacher and you're going to be focusing on a very different, right, aspect of English, which is going to be only speaking and listening because as you were able to see, this was mainly right writing, reading. We all, of course, we had some conversations, but that was not like the main thing in this course. So this is what we're going to do. Remember that today you have until, as always, 11:59 p.m. to upload your essays, right, and your in-class activities. If you were able to do it already, that's great, all right? If you didn't do it yet, no problem. Today we're going to do some review on almost everything, all right? A very short review, and then we're going to be working with this practice, all right? This is an essay, and in this essay is not using any punctuation marks. So you're going to be doing the following. I'm going to be doing, first giving you the first paragraph, which is the introduction, and each of you is going to be adding the punctuation that you believe is the best, all right? You need to analyze this very carefully. Remember that you're not going to see any punctuation here, except for the final periods that we have here, right? But besides that, you don't have any punctuation marks. We're using transitional words, we're using fanboys, we're using many of the rules that we learned. So it's important that you can recognize those rules and add the right punctuation. All right, that's going to be for the activity after the reviewing. As you can see, it has like an introduction, the first body paragraph, the second body paragraph, and the conclusion. It's very short. This is something related to, for example, this prompt. And this is actually a prompt that is similar to the ones that you may have on TOEFL, at least that you had before. For example, it's better to have broad knowledge of many academic subjects than to specialize in one specific subject. You have to choose one and you have to defend that position, right? So we're going to do that later on. Right now, let's start by working on the reviewing. And you're going to help me with this. By reviewing everything, it means that I'm going to be asking you some basic questions. I did this before, and you're going to answer everything according to what you remember. We're going to start off with punctuation rules, all right? Punctuation rules. This first one is for you, Lourdes, all right? It's a very simple one. In which cases you remember that you can use a comma, Lourdes?
When we enumerate different objects of thing or ideas, when we use the fanboys, and I think that those are the most important rules with commas.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lourdes. You're right. You have two already, and both are correct, right? List of items, right? First, list of items, and second, with complete sentences with fanboys, right? Two uses. Let's see, we have at least one more that is also kind of important, but let's see if you remember, for example, Sharai. Do you remember any extra uses for commas besides the two that Lourdes mentioned? Let me know, please, if you do.
Yes, to with an introductory phrase and to separate a phrase, a parenthetical phrase, I think it is.
Sorry, thank you very much, Sharai. That's right. And finally, we have the four of them. That all of them were correct, Sharai. Two, right, work with introductory phrases, right? So you say on Monday, comma, right? Or to begin with, right, comma, introductory phrases. And also with interrupters or parenthetical phrases, right? Right? I believe that you, right? You give a parenthetical phrase according to what I believe, comma, are the best friend anyone could have, right? I believe that you, comma, according to my personal opinion or to what I believe, comma, are the best friend anybody could have, right? So I'm paraphrasing that, but the idea is that my parenthetical phrase, my interrupter is with commas, right? Good. Let me look for that one instead of opening, because it's going to take some time because of the internet. I'm going to show you. So again, this is a way of reviewing this information. It's important that you have this in mind because you still have to use this on this essay, right? And you still have to use this in the final essay. So you use a comma. The ones that Lourdes mentioned were list of items, right? And long independent clauses when conjunctions. But in other words, two complete sentences with fanboys, right? Good. And the ones that Shari mentioned are introductory phrases and parenthetical phrases or interrupters. Please don't forget that we use commas with this kind of situations. Now, I'm just minimizing that one and I'm going back here because I just want to listen to your knowledge first. Now, this is for you, Whitney. Whitney, what do you remember about semicolon or semicolons? When do we use them? Do you remember the situations in which we use them?
Sorry, teacher. Yes. First, when you connect independent clauses by conjunctive adverbs, and when you give more than two ideas, and like a list, but when there is a comma between this list. I don't know if I explain.
Good, very good. So far, it's great, Whitney. So let's review what you're saying. First, let's start by the last one. Yeah, yes. So we have a list of items, but it's a complex list of items, right? It's a list of items that is using commas in between the semicolons, right? For example, the example that we're always mentioning, when you talk about cities and states, right? It could be, or cities and countries, right? You say, for example, Cochabamba, Bolivia, semicolon, right? Paris, comma, France, semicolon, right? Good, correct. When we have complete ideas, yes, when we have two complete ideas, we're going to say always like that. And we have always in between these transitional words, transitional phrases, right? Conjunctive adverbs. Correct, those two, right? And let's check the rest of them. Give me a second. Two complete ideas as well, right? So this is the one you were mentioning over here, right? A list of items when you have commas in between, and as well the conjunctive adverbs or transitional phrases and words. Very good. I'm showing this one because this can be hard. Thank you, Whitney. Two ideas, remember, when you have two complete ideas, but you don't want to use a fanboy, the semicolon is the best option. Or when you want to use a fanboy, but only in case that you used commas before and commas after that, the best option is to use semicolon, right? So these are the best situations in which you're going to be using semicolons, all right? So once again, two complete ideas that are related, and you're not using any transitional word, any fanboy, all right? That's the first option. The second option is that, again, two complete ideas, but this time you are using connectors. You're using transitional words, phrases, or conjunctive adverbs that are the same. For list of items that are complex list of items, Denver, comma, Colorado, semicolon, Rochester, comma, Minnesota, semicolon, and even Paris, France, right? Comma, France, period. And with fanboys, when the two ideas before and after the fanboys, right, are complex. This idea is complex because you have at least one comma before. And the next idea is complex because you have 1, 2 commas afterwards, right? So in that case, we use semicolon. Good. The next one is going to be for you, Mariana. Mariana, in which cases do we use colon? What do you remember? Are you there, Mariana? All right, I think we're having some problems again. In the meantime, let's go with you, Luciana. Luciana, what do you remember with colon? In which cases do we use a colon?
I think that when we want to separate two different ideas.
Right. Well, we're going to
Sorry.
analyze. Tell me, Luciana.
Sorry, the word was join. When we want to join ideas.
Okay, a colon, right? A colon.
Yes.
Let's analyze, because actually a colon, when we want to join two ideas, right, the best options are always going to be semicolon and not comma and period, right? Two different ideas, two complete ideas. But colon, instead of joining two complete ideas or two different ideas, it has a more specific purpose, Luciana. Let's try to remember. What other use do you remember for this one, Luciana? Any other one, perhaps?
I'm not sure, teacher. I think that when we join only.
Luciana, your microphone is off. You were telling me when you join.
I'm not sure, teacher, about other specific. Only I think that for join two ideas.
Thank you very much, Luciana. I'm going back to you, Lourdes. What do you say with colons? When do we use a colon in English?
We use it when, for example, we are referring about something, if we name it, so we use the colons. Then we use it when we are going to use a quotation, and I think that those are the situations that we use colons.
Okay, thank you very much, Lourdes. I'm going to ask you one question, only refer to the first one to make that clear. You say, right, when we want to name something, right, we use colon and then we name it. What are you specifically talking about in that part? Can you give me one example?
Okay, for example, there is 5 language of love, and we use columns, and we name the 5 languages, like physical, I don't remember, physical, emotional, and the other 3 I don't remember, sorry.
Okay, no, it's
But
good, it's
that's
perfect.
the idea.
It's perfect. Now with that example is clearer. Very good, Lourdes. Then I agree with you, those two. To introduce, right, something that we're going to describe in detail, it usually is a list of items, right? So you say there are, right? Remember, it's plural, so there are 5, right, languages of love, colon, and you have to name the 5 of them, right? Good, that is the first one. The second one, you said it very well, Lourdes, and actually that's an extra one because it's not part of this explanation, but I mentioned that to you, and you also remember, right? To work with citations or to work with direct speech, right? You say colon, quotation marks, and the specific and exact words of one person or a group of people. Good. We have more. I want to see if you remember. Sharai, what else do you say related to colon? Do you remember one extra situation in which you use colon in English?
Yes, there is two more, I think. One is when we are writing a letter after the salutation, and to give an extra explanation of the first idea, something like that.
Very good. Great. That second one is, I think, very, very important because you can use that a lot. Thank you, Sherai. Yes, first, letters, right? After the salutation, the greeting, you're going to use colon, right? That's, of course, only for letters. We're not going to use that in this essay, but it's important to mention it, right? And the next one that Sherai mentioned, which is for clarification, for paraphrasing, for extra explanation, or extra information. It's very, very important, right? Because you say something in one idea, and after that idea, if you want to clarify what you mean in a certain part of that sentence, you use colon and you specify that meaning, right? So let's go to the presentation to see the examples. So to introduce an item or series of items, or you can say extra descriptions, right? As Lourdes was saying. Then Lourdes also mentioned something that is not here, but I told you that's something we learned before, for citation or direct speech, right? My father said, colon, quotation marks, right? You have to finish your tasks, and close quotation mark, right? That's it. And the ones that Sherai mentioned are these two. First, in letters, right? After the salutation, so to Central Valley Committee Chairman, colon, and the other one, this is very, very important, to give extra, right, information, to illustrate, to explain, to paraphrase, or expand on the first idea. And remember that we are not using like complete ideas here. It's only one thing that adds to the information. So Marta realized that her worst fear was coming true. And it's enough. If you say period there, it's enough. It's a complete sentence, is correct. But if you want to expand that idea, and if you're going to explain what is this fear, right? What fear? What is her worst fear? Her son was being sent to war. That is her worst fear. So with colon, we explain, right? So in fact, it's not to divide two complete ideas or two ideas, no, or to join two ideas, no, because for that one we have periods, we have semicolons, and also we have commas, but with fanboys, right? Colons are not going to be to separate two ideas or to join two ideas, are more to introduce a list of things, all right, to introduce a letter, to give extra information or clarification, right? Or to work with direct speech or citations. Good. We have one more. I told you that this is not important, but let's see if you remember this one. I'm going to go with you, please, Whitney, this time. What do you remember about dash, about the dash? There are two important events or situations in which we use a dash, Whitney. What do you remember about that?
Okay, it's like a comma to give an explanation. And when you want to emphasize the conclusion.
Good. And in the last one, when you want to emphasize the conclusion, which is very good, which one is the punctuation mark that you are replacing? If you use a dash in that last situation with me, what is the punctuation mark that you're replacing?
In the emphasize?
Sorry, yes, that's right, in the emphasizing one.
With the colon, no?
Colon, yes, correct. Perfect, thank you, Whitney. So let's go to it. It was perfect. Let's go to the presentation to go over there. Two main situations. In the first one, we replace a comma, and in the second one, we replace a colon. So why is it, actually, I told you that it's not important because as you can see, a dash is not like autonomous, right? It's not a punctuation mark that you're going to be using because it's the only option you have. No, a dash is always optional. But in writing, if you want to improve your writing skills, why is it important to know about dash at least? Because if you want to avoid using too many commas, which is something, as you were able to see, we avoid in English. In English, they don't like to use that many commas. Of course, it's not incorrect to use many commas when the structure is correct. But to avoid doing that, first, you can use the dashes for parenthetical phrases, right? Extra information, and when you want to put more emphasis on that extra information. So here you can use in June, comma, nearly 2 months premature, comma, the parents, blah, 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 right? Or you can use dash. And remember, this is M dash. You have 2 types of dashes, N dash, EN, right? And you have the M dash, EM. This is the M dash. So the M dash is for this situation, replacing a comma for parenthetical information, phrases, and to give this extra information at the end, right? Extra clarification. So let's go where we went last year, but you don't know, right? Where? So if you want to clarify that, the most formal way is with colon, Disneyland. But if you don't want to be very formal, and if you've used colon before, don't use colon and use M dash, Disneyland. That's it, all right? That's a review related to punctuation marks. If you have any questions, let me know, please. All right, it's important that you can let me know if you have some questions. Very quickly, let's go to the second one. And again, in this one, it's even something that we covered not long ago. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, only on the most important words here, all right? The most important ones, that at least the ones you need to understand very well are the ones that are in green, okay, in green, and the ones that are in black. Those are what we call transition or transitional words and phrases, okay? So just to remember this, we're not going to read examples, only the words. Let's begin with you, please. Luciana, this time, read only the words, common terms and common phrases in these 2 lists of transitions, please, Luciana. These 2 over here. All right, if not, let's try to go with you, Melissa. Melissa, let's try to read, please, these words, only the ones that are in black, please.
Okay, teacher. Only the ones that are in the square.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Also, additionally, furthermore, moreover, common phrases would be in fact, as a matter of fact, and then we have particularly, notably, and common phrases would be for example, or for instance, and to illustrate in particular.
Thank you very much, Melissa. So please, it's important that you at least know those words that are in black, because those are these transitional words. After that, you have also the phrases, but remember that the ones in red need an extra phrase. And for some people, it's still a little bit hard. So if you don't want to get confused, don't use the ones that are in red, because you have a lot, right? Don't use. If you feel confident and if you know what a phrase is, remember, a phrase is not a complete sentence. A phrase is only one idea that is composed, all right, by either a verb or either a subject, only that. Or it could be a noun, only a noun that of course can be part of the complement, but only that. So keep in mind those words, all right? This is for adding information or introducing, highlighting. Use those words that are in black, okay, for your essays. And if you feel more confident and you know how to use phrases, use the other ones, but it's not obligatory, not even in international exams, all right? In international exams, the things that matters the most is that you structure your ideas correctly and you have more words than the ones that you need over here and only in black. Let's read these last ones, please, if you are there. Mariana, first let me know if you are there, please, Mariana. All right. If not, let's go back to you, please, Lourdes. Let's read only the words, please, also this one, sorry. Let's read the category and then read only the words that are in black, please.
Okay, clarifying, identifying important information, common terms, specifically, and common phrases in other words, to put it another way.
There you go. That's it. Thank you very much, Lourdes. So again, only 3 things that you have to have in mind, right? Specifically, in other words, to put it another way. That's for clarifying and identifying, right? Important information. The next one, again, we know this, we know how to use these. Remember, all of those that are in black, that's why we're practicing those, are with the punctuation that we learned. Remember, period or semicolon, this transitional word or this transitional phrase, and comma, and then the next complete idea, right? So first complete idea, period or semicolon, this transitional word or phrase, comma, and the second complete idea, right? It's important that you have that in mind. Yes,
Sorry,
tell
I
me.
was having some problems with my microphone. I don't know if you can hear me well now.
Yes, I can hear you now, Luciana. So let's take advantage of that, please, Luciana. We're going to read now this list with you. I'm going to mark it. Let's read this category and only the words that are in black, please, Luciana.
Okay. Adversative transitions. Purpose, contrasting, showing conflict. But, fanboy, however, while, whereas, conversely.
Good. Only the ones that are in black, please, Luciana. Only the words that are in black. Just that ones.
Okay.
All right? Not the ones that are in red.
However, conversely, and. In contrast, on the contrary, on the other one hand, by way of contrast. I don't know the examples too.
No, only that information, Luciana. That's more than enough. It's perfect. Thank you very much. Here is a mistake. Let me do it. It was my mistake. It's in black. But actually, of course, this is part of the next idea, right? So it's going to be red. So good. This is for contrast, all right? So you have, however, right, comma, conversely, comma, in contrast, comma, on the contrary, comma, on the one hand, comma, on the other hand, comma, right? By way of contrast, comma. So you have these black ones that you use with the punctuation that we learned to show contrast, right? Just as a review. And remember, you have to use these words in your essays, at least 6, right? That's the minimum we can use. Let's go now to this next one, and it's going to be for you, please, Lourdes. Once again, please, Lourdes, the category and the ones in black, please.
Okay, conceding a point, nevertheless, nonetheless, however, admittedly, common phrases, be that as it may.
Thank you very much, Lourdes. And again, this is for conceding a point. Okay, so the first one's for contrast, and this one for conceding a point, or concession. Again, only a few words, but you're going to use these words with the rules that we know, all right? Again, period or semicolon with comma after these words, great? The last one, we're not going to talk about this one, but remember that you can use these expressions. instead of rather or rather or at least, right? You can use those ones in that case. Let's go to causal transitions, and I'm going back to you, please, Sharai. Let's read again the ones that we have in black of this first group. Let's do it, please.
Okay, showing cause or reason. Because of the fact that, due to the fact that, for the reason that, owing to the fact.
Thank you very much. All right, in this case, some other words are in black because they are very important actually. Even though you use a phrase, you can simply use the phrase that is in parentheses, all right? And that's more than enough. Due to the fact that, or due to, and any phrase, right? In this case, I'm keeping those over there because we don't have too many options over here, all right? And for that case, and because this category is very important, I'm leaving those blacks, all right? But actually you use the punctuation marks that we know. And that's it, all right? That's it. As you can see, we almost, or actually I could say that we don't have transitional, actual transitional words over here. All of them are kind of phrases. But anyway, the next part is going to be for you with me. Please the same. Let's read the purpose or the category and the words in black, which are all of them.
Okay, showing the effects and results, consequently, therefore, thus, accordingly, as a result of this, for this reason, has as consequence.
Thank you very much. And this is the opposite of this one, right? Because here, as you can see, we have a lot of phrases. But here we have a lot of these transitional words, right? Consequently, therefore, thus, accordingly. And then we have similar ones to these ones over here. As a result, only that one. It's okay. As a result, comma, or as a result of this, for this reason, as a consequence, and so on and so forth. And the other ones are extra, right? I told you are extra that you can check and you can use if you want, but those are the most important ones. And this is the last one. We finished this review with this one. Please, I'm going back to you, Melissa. You're going to read these ones over here, please.
Okay, in common terms, we have initially, secondly, thirdly, first, second, third, and last. In common phrases, we have first of all, to start with, in the first, second, or third place, and that would be it.
Yes, correct. Thank you very much, Melissa, right? This is for organizing by number. This is very important for the essays that you have to work on today, right? You have to use these sequential transitions, at least 3 of them. One for the first idea, second one for the continuation, and the last one for the conclusion, right? At least 3 of these sequential transitions are very important to use. And then you can use the rest of the transitions that you had in the previous slides. Okay, that's it. This one is going to be for you again. Luciana, are you there? Is your microphone working now?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, let's read this information, please. Showing continuation, only these words.
Common terms, subsequently, previously, afterwards, eventually, next, after this.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Luciana. So this is important. Remember, we cannot say only after, right? After, comma, that is going to be incorrect, right? If we don't want to mention an object, we're going to say afterwards. But if you want to use after, you need a phrase, an idea, or at least you can say after this or after that, right? So after, I don't know, after the previous idea, right? Or after what I mentioned, after this, after that, comma. That's it. And finally, concluding or summarizing. And I'm going back to you, please, Lourdes. Let's finish this up with you, concluding and summarizing all the information, please.
Okay, concluding and summarizing, thus, hence, ultimately, finally, therefore, altogether, overall, consequently. Common phrases to conclude as a final point, in conclusion, giving these points, in summary, and to sum up.
There you go. Thank you very much, Lourdes. And remember what I told you, right? Some of these words are stronger than others. It depends on you where you're going to use them. But for example, if you say finally to conclude the idea in the first body paragraph, that is too strong for a body paragraph, right? And for a body paragraph, then you should use only thus, hence, therefore, right? That's more than enough. To finish your essay, you can use finally, overall, right? To conclude, in conclusion. Those are very good words and phrases that you can use to finish up your essay. And that's it. Again, we're working on this because you still have a chance, right, to check your essays. Try to do it, please, because you have until 11:59 p.m. today. But try to open your essays, and with the information that we are reviewing today, try to check if you're using the words correctly. If you see that you have a complete idea and you have a second complete idea, and you're using one of these words, for example, therefore, and you're using commas with therefore, comma, therefore, comma, and the second complete idea, it's incorrect, right? It's going to be incorrect. What is the right thing to do there? Period or semicolon before therefore, and then after therefore, one comma, right? That's it. That's going to be correct. So again, we're doing this for you to check your essays before uploading them, and also to remember, because you're going to use this information later on, right? I think, oh no, yes, we have a good change, the color. Finally, in terms, no, actually directly here, introduction. This is just for you to check again your essays. Remember that if you're doing a good job, you're using colors for each step, right? The highlighting of your sentences has to be in a different color to the other ones. So if you're doing a good job, I'm not going to repeat all the information here, and I'm going to do it myself very quickly. You have one color for the hook, right? A very attractive sentence for the reader. That's one color. Let's say yellow, I don't know. The next step is the background, the outline, or any context. It could be blue, let's say, all right? So yellow, blue. This one, and again, if you use other colors, of course, it's okay. I'm just giving examples, right? The next one is the thesis statement. Let's say it's purple. So you have 3 different colors with 3 complete ideas. And in that way, and your thesis statement, remember, it's a personal opinion that you have. It's your own position on what you believe related to the topic, right? If you're talking about diet, healthy diets, then you need to say, right? That's why it's important that we teach, or it's important that we learn about healthy diets when we are teenagers, because that's a very important age in which we can take care of our bodies, right? That's your personal opinion related to a topic, which is healthy diets. That's it. If you have those 3 complete ideas, at least you can have 4 ideas. You can have 5 ideas. Remember, some of them can be 2 sentences. But remember that those ideas have to be in one of those steps. You can have 1 sentence for the hook, 2 sentences, all right, 1 sentence for the hook. It's okay, 1, but you can have 2 sentences for the background, and you can have 1 to 2 sentences for the third step. So in total, you can have 5, but it's enough if you have 3, all right? Then your introduction is complete. Also remember to use the right punctuation marks. For the body paragraphs, remember that you have 2 body paragraphs, right? And both are going to be the same. 1 color, the topic sentence, 1 complete idea. This is optional, so you don't have to do this. You can do it, and you have to mark it with a different color, but it's not obligatory, all right? Step 2, because it's explain the topic sentence in case it's not clear. Step 3, that's the second obligatory step. Different color, introduce your evidence, right? It's important for me to talk about the article that Harvard wrote. The article says the following. That's the introduction. That's it. Then, with a different color, the evidence. You tell me what Harvard said, right? There have been many research in which, or much research in which we were able to identify that these are the main elements of this and that, right? Quotation mark. And that is your evidence, a different color. After your evidence, you have to explain. That is the fourth step. It's the fifth, but it's the fourth that is obligatory, right? Explain, paraphrase your evidence, right? What this article is trying to tell us is that throughout many years, experts were able to identify that these and these are the elements that we need for this, I don't know, for this research, and so on and so forth, right? In your own words, paraphrase that information. Step 4, a different color. And finally, the fifth obligatory step, insert a concluding sentence. Only one sentence, please, here. Only one concluding sentence. It says that it can be, all right, 1 or 2 sometimes, but it's enough with 1. And that's it. You have to do that process of the 5 steps 2 times. The first body paragraph and the second body paragraph, right? They need to follow these steps. And finally, what we did on Friday, and this is the end of the review, 3 last steps, right, for the conclusion. 1 color for linking back to the question or the thesis. You have to restate your thesis in 1 complete sentence. 1. Second step, a different color. You have to summarize the main points. It means you have to give me a summary of your body paragraphs. Only a summary. You don't need to mention the article again. You don't need to paraphrase again. No, only a summary that you talked about this and you talked about that, right? In informal words, of course. And 3, right? The third complete sentence, another color, reflection, right? You have to tell us something that is going to let us continue with the research, that is going to give us something to think about, right? Is something that is going to make the reader think about other possible solutions or other ways in which we can continue with that, let's say, research, quotation marks. And that's it. So please, that is what we need to do. I wanted to do that because I want to be sure that you were able, all right, to get that information correctly. Now, before working on the practice that I have now, which is going to be somehow interesting, I want to know if you have any questions, please. Lourdes, Sharai, Whitney, Luciana, Melissa, Mariana. Do you have any questions about all these aspects? Let me know if you do, please. All right, and just in case, I'm showing you again what you have to do for today, right? Remember that now it's 320 words, right? 320 words. You have to use the punctuation rules, you have to use the transitional words, phrases, and you have to use the structure in detail, right? Introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. And remember that you also have criteria, right? You have a rubric. Give me a second, please. You have the rubric over here. And I showed you this, but remember, take this into account, please. You have to check this. I read this for you on Friday, but it's important that you can check it by yourself in case you were not in class Friday, all right? Check this, please. You have to work with spelling, you have to work with punctuation, you have to work with transitional words and phrases, you have to work with the structure. Remember, 30 points in a structure implies that you use all the steps, that you follow all those rules, and that you highlight the steps with different colors. That is 30 points, right? And again, you have to use, at least if you want to have 20 points, you have to still work with the highlighting, all right? You need to work with highlighting and different colors. But in case you don't use colors to identify the different steps, it's going to be only 15. All right, so it's very important that you use those highlighting colors for each step and that you follow all those steps. Because if you don't follow one, only 25 points. If you don't follow two, 20 points. If you don't follow three, 15 points. All right, it's very important that you work on that. And that's it, okay? That's it. If you have any questions, please, again, let me know. If not, we're going to start with this short practice, but it's going to be interesting for you to know this. No? All right. Let's begin then. Again, this is, I told you this at the beginning of the class, this is an essay, but this essay doesn't have any punctuation marks. What you have to do now, and this is for all of you, again, it's important that you can do it by yourself, but of course, if you are going to see what your partners are doing, okay, but at least you need to understand what you're doing and why you're doing that. So the first step, let me share this with you. I'm copying and pasting the introduction of that essay, all right, in each of your names. Please, what you have to do is you have to go there and you have to, all right, just let me do this first. And you have to write the punctuation marks, okay? If you're going to use a period, then use a period, but be sure that you're going to use a capital letter. If you're going to use semicolon and commas, it's going to be okay. So that's it. That's the only instruction, please. Let's work on that. The introduction is in all of your names. Go to that part and try to write the correct punctuation for that introduction. This introduction is not following the steps that we learned, all right? It's not following, it's a different structure. The important thing here is the punctuation rules. Let's check that, please. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, and to have a specific time, please, we're going to have until 6:58. All right, 5 minutes. 6:58, that's going to be the maximum, and I start checking. If you finish before, let me know. You can raise your hand or you can turn on your microphone, all right? But 6:58 is the like the deadline. Okay, remember that sometimes you have more than one possible solution. You can have at least 2 possible solutions, or sometimes even 3. But try to use the one you feel more comfortable with. All right, and try to explain. Remember that you can use periods and you can use capital letters if you use periods. All right, so at 6:58, I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste the answer at the beginning of this activity, and you're going to compare. Remember that sometimes you have more than one option, so don't worry. If you use, for example, comma instead of dash, it's correct, because remember that you can use dash or you can use comma. That's good, all right? If you used semicolon instead of period, it's good, because you have the option of using either semicolon or period. So it's also correct. Okay, now, and actually, before working on this, I'm going to be asking some questions before showing the right, let's say, introduction, right, with the right punctuation marks. So I'm going to start with you, Sharai, and I'm going to be going step by step. Sharai, why do you believe that a comma is the best option in this part? You said required comma, and it is very common. Why do you believe that is?
Because of the rule that using commas before any fanboy.
Good, very good, good. And remember, sometimes fanboys are used without commas. For example, if you're making a list of things and it's not more than 2 items, you don't use a comma, right? And also, when you are giving an extra action to the same subject, so you can say, right, he is eating and, right, doing that. So in that case, we don't use commas. But why? It is a fanboy in this case. This is to extend this answer, Sharai. If sometimes we don't use commas with and, why in this case you believe that we use commas with this fanboy?
Well, we don't use commas with and when we have a large list of items. And yes, that's all.
Correct, correct, exactly. And this is my last question. What do we have after and? Is it only a phrase? Is it only a noun, a word, or is it a complete idea?
It is a phrase.
All right, let's try to analyze, because if we have it, it is the subject, right? Is going to be the verb, and very common is going to be the complement. But actually, it is a complete idea. Comma is correct, all right? Comma is correct. And you're right, we use commas with fanboys. But the only thing that is missing, because sometimes we don't use commas. In this case, we use a comma, right? Why? Because we have a complete sentence after and. All right, so just that idea. Great. Do you have any questions about this, Sharai? Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's
Okay.
clear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next one, I'm going to go now in order. Lourdes, now you worked with this part. Furthermore, you used a period and comma. Why? Why are you doing that?
Because I think first I use a period because I think that they are sentences that are related but no so far. So that's why I choose to use a period, and then I use a comma before the furthermore, because it's an introductory phrase. Sorry,
Good.
after furthermore.
After, right? Good. Very good. Great. It is correct, right? Period. We have the chance of using semicolon, but I also agree with you, Lourdes. It seems that this is something really different, and it's better to establish a and a stronger, right? A stronger limit, which in this case is going to be period. Good, very good. The next one, let me see. Yes, Melissa, we did something with accordingly here. You set a period. Why? For example, and I'm going to do like in contrast with your partners, right? Your partners used accordingly as a transitional word, right? With period, comma, period, comma. You use it differently. Why do you believe that it can be used in this way? What do you say?
Because instead of using like my parents did, I think it could be an adjective also. And the last sentence, it would be like a conclusion sentence.
Okay, okay. Actually, it's a very good logic. We're going to see sometimes, yes, accordingly, of course, it can be used as an adverb, right? As an adverb to explain what's happening with the previous verbs or actions. We're going to see if this is correct, but one characteristic that you need in a sentence to use accordingly as an adverb for those actions is that at least you need two sets of actions with other two sets of actions, or at least one action with another action, because you need to relate the first idea with the second first idea that is being developed, and the second idea with the second idea that is developed after that one. For example, we can say, right, Bolivia, right, and Brazil are, I don't know, important countries in terms of, let's say, Bolivia, let's mention the lithium, I don't know, and Brazil, let's say, in terms of wood. And then we use accordingly. Why? Because first we mention Bolivia and Brazil, and then we mention two lists of things, which is lithium and wood. And we say accordingly because Bolivia, the first item, goes with the first item that is lithium, and Brazil, the second item, goes with the second item that is wood. So I think in that case, we can use accordingly because we're showing the connection between, all right, two different elements with other two different elements, at least. In this case, we have two elements, but they are not like connected in this way of relation, all right, of connection. There is no one item that is connected to the other one and the other item that is connected to the other one. These are only two items that are mentioned in a sequence, right? Intellectually and professionally. But these intellectually and professionally are not connected to other items. So that's why I believe that here, it wouldn't be the best case to use accordingly, and I will go to you with your partners this time. I don't know if you have questions or comments related to that, Melissa. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's okay.
All right, okay, good. So in this case, we're going to use accordingly in this way, right? Period, accordingly, comma, because we're using this instead of therefore, right? Instead of thus as a final idea. I have a question before continuing. Lourdes, do you need to leave? It's like 7 o'clock. To work with the survey, Lourdes. You're going to let me know, please. So, and that's it. I'm going to work with well, I'm going to start actually with Whitney and Fusiana in the next case. But let me show you, let's say this is not like the real answer. This is one possibility. There you go. So here you can see that we are using dash, but it's not like dash is the only answer. I told you that sometimes you can use dash and sometimes you can use comma. What is the difference between using a dash and a comma here? When you use a comma, this is like a second complete idea that it's actually important. All right, it is very common. If you believe that that's an idea that is very important, use comma. But if you believe that this is only like extra information that you're mentioning just because, and it is very common, and it's not as important, you can use dash, but both are correct. Using comma is correct, and using dash is correct. But the strength, let's say, the strength of this idea is different. This is very weak. If you say, and it is very common, it's very weak because you're only saying like something extra, all right? Like, and it's very common. But again, this one is like a complete idea after the comma, and it's stronger than a dash. Then you have period, and then you have period, right? With comma, comma. The only thing here, Luciana, you did it good. You can use semicolon, correct? But remember, Luciana, that even if you use semicolon, you need a comma after the transitional word or phrase, right? So semicolon, accordingly, comma, it's better. Just that one, all right? Check that, please. If you did it okay, and in the case of this part, Luciana, you're missing. Here you have to use either a comma or you have to use dash. And dash, right? Those are the possibilities. Actually, let's use that one. I think to use the M dash when you don't have the real M dash on your computers, you can use, and in this case, they are not recognizing, use please double dash. All right. Do you have any questions, Luciana, or anybody? Let me know, please.
Teacher, I don't know if you can repeat this, the last part. I was not able to hear you very well.
Of course, yes. Here, only we use this comma or dash because an it is very common. It is very common is a complete idea. So you need something to divide that. You're using a fanboy, and to use complete ideas with fanboys, you have to use either a comma, or if you believe that this is extra explanation, you use an M dash, all right? Comma and M dash are the same, but they can be used, all right, in different situations according to the emphasis that you want to give, okay? And here in accordingly, just remember, after transitional words, you use period or semicolon, but you have to use commas after that. Just that, Luciana.
One question. Always, when I use a semicolon before a word, it's like a rule that always after that semicolon and the word, I have to put the comma, right?
Only if you use a transitional word. If you're giving me a complete idea, for example, like this, I don't know what happened. Let me do it. Delete this, all right? I delete that and that. If you do that, you don't need commas, of course, Luciana, because this is a complete idea. It's better to have blah, 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 blah. You don't need commas over there because it's not introduction. You only need commas when you have an introductory phrase or an adverb, Luciana, all right? If you have an adverb after the semicolon, yes, you have to use a comma. But if you have a complete idea, you don't need commas. Just give me the complete idea, okay?
Okay, teacher, thank you very much.
Perfect. You're welcome. There you go. That is the first part. Let's go to the second part. I think we're all here. Okay, let's go to the second part. Easy. Now, this is going to be a little bit more complex, right? A little bit more complex. Remember that you can have long, very, very long sentences, or yes, sentences without using punctuation. So don't be afraid. Sometimes you don't use any punctuation. Don't use punctuation if it's not needed, all right? If it's not needed. So again, I'm copying and pasting this information. Let's keep working on that one, please. Also, that's for you. And in your case, Mariana, I think we have everything correctly here. This one, only this, Mariana, as we don't have a lot of commas here, right? We don't have a lot of commas in the first, actually, we don't have commas, right? In the first part. And in the second part, we also don't have commas. So the semicolon is not the best option because the semicolon is too strong. Only use a semicolon with fanboys when you have commas before and you have commas after the fanboy, right? If not, Mariana, only use a comma. That's more than enough. Also here, if you're using period, you have to use capital letter, and then the rest of it is correct, Mariana. There you go. Whitney, sorry, this is for you. There you go. Here, I think. All right, I'm going to take that away. There you go. And Luciana. There you go. Please work with those. Perhaps we're not going to finish the entire essay, but try to work with that one as well, please. Let's give ourselves, again, 5 minutes. Let's try to see everything that you can in 5 minutes, and then we're going to check the real answers. All right. Also in this one, you have some other mistakes. You don't have to correct those mistakes. But if you recognize a mistake in terms of prepositions or in terms of conjugations, please, you can correct those mistakes, only if you recognize the mistakes. If not, it's enough with punctuation marks, all right? That's the most important part here, punctuation marks. All right, at 7, please, 7:17, I'm going to start checking. All right, sorry. So we are like on time. Let's begin. This time I'm going to start with you, Whitney. All right, only the things you have. You can keep working if I'm not telling you to participate. But again, what you did, it's more than enough. Whitney, in this case, you're going to tell me two things. All right, here, this part, why do you believe you're using a comma over there? And why are you using period and regarding as let's say, autonomous transitional word over there? Only these two, first and regarding.
Okay, first is because it's introductory word, and regarding is because it's a transition word.
Okay, I agree with the first one. With the second word, we're going to see, because actually only regarding, you need a phrase with regardless of or regarding this information, regarding this, regarding that. So try to accommodate. If you show me what is the phrase that is after regarding, because actually you need the entire phrase, regarding phrase, comma, and the complete idea. If you find the complete phrase, and after that you find the complete idea, then it is correct with me. If not, perhaps regarding is not being used as a transitional word and is used only as connecting ideas or a verb or an action. All right, try to take a look at the second one with me. The first one is correct. The second one, if you find the phrase that goes with regarding, and after that phrase you give me the complete idea, then it's going to be correct. All right, take a look at that, please, with me. The next part is going to be for you, Luciana. Here, you are using a comma. Why are you using a comma before as a matter of fact?
I think that because maybe it's a different idea, because I'm giving like a fact about the daily life situations with that information, maybe.
Okay, you're right. It is a different idea. But what do we use for different ideas? Do we use a comma to separate different ideas, or what other options do we have, Luciana? Do you remember?
Maybe can we use semicolon?
Okay, semicolon can be an option. Good. It sounds better because yes, you have to see one thing, Luciana, to decide. This is going to help you. If you see that after this idea, as a matter of fact, you have another complete sentence, it means that you need to use a different punctuation mark, not a comma. A comma is going to be incorrect if you have a complete idea after this. Now, if you're going to use a semicolon over here, be sure if, as a matter of fact, is part of your sentence or is an extra phrase or introductory phrase, Luciana.
Okay.
Try to analyze that.
Now that I analyze, I think that maybe it's a colon.
Okay, semicolon, right? Or colon, or do you say colon?
Colon.
All right, let's see. Remember, colon is the two periods, right? Colon, in this case, I'm going to tell you that it's very unlikely that we use colon here. Why? Because colon is going to be for very specific situations, list of items. It's going to be to give a final clarification, but
yes,
it's not going to work with two complete ideas.
I was confused about bank. The point, I was trying to say, like, maybe it could be a different sentence with a capital letter.
Okay, period, good. That's also a good option. Semicolon or period, very good. I agree with you. And be sure if you're going to use only as a matter of fact or something different, but good. That's it, Luciana. Perfect, thank you. I'm going now back to you, please, Sharai. I'm going to ask you about this. Why do you think you're using period and comma over there with due to the fact?
We use a period because it's another idea, I think, and due to the fact because we are showing a causal reason, so we have to use a comma over there.
Okay, only one thing. Let's remember that, in fact, I'm going to show you this because it's kind of good, but we need to get this, only this idea. It's a very short one, Sharai. The word itself that we use to work with that kind of thing is due to, right? Due to, that's actually the word. After due to, Sharai, you have to use the fact that and a complete idea with no commas. And then after that, you can give a complete idea. Due to the fact that I don't like pasta, comma, I'm not going to eat that. All right, due to the fact that I don't like pasta, comma, I'm not going to eat that. Or you can say, due to, right, my not liking pasta, you can say that with possession. Due to my not liking pasta, I'm not going to eat that. So in that case, as you can see, that part with that, it's included in this idea with no commas. You can give a comma after that. But as you can see, you're using a comma in between, but we cannot separate due to the fact that they have to be together, and the idea that you have after that has to be also together with no comma. So what you have to analyze here is that you have first an idea after due to the fact that with no commas, and then you should have the option of using a comma and a complete idea. Or sometimes you can use due to the fact in the middle of the sentence, Sharai, and you can say, I'm not going to eat that due to the fact that I don't like pasta. So when due to the fact is in the middle of the sentence, we don't need a comma. All right, so it's going to be due to the fact that complete sentence, comma, the second sentence, or the first sentence due to the fact, no punctuations, and the idea after due to the fact. I don't know if you have any questions related to that. I'm going to show you the answers, but I want to be sure that perhaps you have some comment related to that. Sharai, let me know, please.
Yes, no teacher, no questions. I understand.
Okay, good. And we're going to see, right? I'm going to show you how it's going to be the right thing, and you're going to see that, and you're going to ask me questions, all right, related to that. Finally, I'm going to finish. I know we have more, but because of time, let's finish with this, please, Lourdes. In this case, you are using here a comma with according to and the rest of the ideas. What do you believe, or why do you believe that this is a use with comma?
I'm not too sure if the comma goes there. But by the definition that you just said to Sharai, I was thinking that maybe the comma it's okay in that place. I'm not sure because I am trying to understand the complete idea, and I think that from due to the fact to different perspectives are like the introductory phrase, like something like that. And then the rest is the other complete idea. I'm not too sure about that, but
okay, let's check. All right, let's check, because I know what I'm giving you is actually, even if you give this to me, of course, I'm going to take time to see, right? I'm going to see possibilities, all right? So I know you don't have to give me the right answers now, but you have to think, right? That's actually what I want you to do. The only purpose of doing this is you trying to explain why you're using that, all right? That's the only purpose. Because again, if you give me this, all right, even if you give this to a person who is, let's say, right, a native English speaker, and I don't know, he's, I don't know, 40 years old, 50 years old, he's still going to take some time on doing this because it's complex and the ideas can be expressed in many different ways. So you can have many possibilities here. It takes time, all right? So if you're confused, it's okay. If we make mistakes, it's okay, all right? Again, even you give me something like this, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to make some mistakes. But it's good because we're learning that way. Now, I'm going to show you, all right? I'm going to show you what's the actual thing. And I'm going to try to explain why. All right. So this is it. Here we use first because Whitney told us, right? This is, of course, a sequency transitional word, right? Sequential transitional word, sequency transitional word. First, comma, right? That's it. It's clear. Then, if you understand this is actually only one idea. Okay, only one idea. It's undeniable that everybody needs to acquire a minimum amount of knowledge regarding general academic subjects. Why? Because regarding is very similar to related to. Instead of using related to, you can say regarding. Why regarding is not part of a different sentence? Because if you try to do that, you're not going to be able to do it. If you say, for example, regarding, if I do this, regarding general academic subject, comma, for a society demands, it doesn't make sense because we're using this for. So just because of this regarding cannot be the first part of a new idea, because for is a fanboy and it's part of a second complete idea. So in the first part, we need a complete idea, and regarding general academic subjects is not a complete idea. So because of that, you know that regarding general academic subjects is part of these first big ideas of knowledge related to general academic subjects. Here, I think some of you did it. It's great, good, comma, why? Because for is a fanboy. For is the same as because. Because doesn't use a comma, but for uses a comma. So you have to use a comma here, right? Comma, for, or in other words, because society demands us to be ready when facing a new problem or even, right, daily life situations. Why are we not using a comma before or? Because this is a list of items. The first item is when facing a new problem, and the second item is even daily life situations. And remember, when you use two items with and or, you don't need a comma. That's why we don't use comma before or. Then, if you realize that is the end of the sentence, if you paid attention to this part, I'm going to go to, I think it's causal, showing effects, adversity. No, it's here, sorry. Additive transitions, because here are the examples. As a matter of fact, you have it here. As a matter of fact, it's a transitional word or phrase. So you're going to use this one with either semicolon or with period. Both can be okay. If you say semicolon as a matter of fact, comma, is correct. If you say period as a matter of fact, comma, is correct. But please remember that this is very important because this is very well known. In fact, as a matter of fact, for example, to illustrate, right? This is to give examples. So you did that, you do that, then you give me a complete idea. People who have developed skills in various fields of study and have, why don't we use a comma before and? Because this is a fanboy, but this is not a coordinating conjunction. Why? Because have acquired is not a complete sentence. This have acquired is part of this verb, is part of people, is part of the same first subject. That's why we don't use a comma, right? And have acquired is related to people. So no commas. Knowledge in many subjects are more, actually all of these, only those words, and actually all those words are the subject, okay? This part is only the subject. It's not one complete idea, it's not anything. It's the subject. And how do we know? Because we have the real verb here, are. Okay, so it's not a complete idea. Only this part is the subject. This is the verb. Are more successful when, this is not extra information because it's important, it's part of this idea. Are more successful when solving a problem due to the fact that when you use due to the fact in the middle of the sentence, you don't need any punctuation, all right? Only when it's at the beginning, you can use period due to the fact that I don't like, my example, right? I don't like pasta, comma, second idea. But in this case, this is the first big idea, all right? This is the very first big idea. Due to the fact that is the second big idea, but we don't need use punctuation marks because due to you have also because they don't need commas. All right, that's very important for you to remember. You don't need punctuation marks with because, with due to, with owing to. Those words don't need commas when they are in the middle of your idea. Then that's the end of the sentence. This, according to, anytime you read according to, it's going to be at the end of a sentence or at the beginning. How do we know that this is not at the end? Because if it's at the end, you need to tell me that this is the last part of your first sentence. And then you need a period over here, and this is the second part or a second different idea. As this is not going to go to this part because it's not going to be correct because of the logic, then you know that this is going to be part of the next sentence. And then you say this idea, comma, and the complete ideas that you have. Focusing on one specific subject, this is the subject over here, right? Creates is the verb. And this is the second part, the complement. A boundary between that person and the huge amount of possible perspectives that are not taken into account, right? And for sure, of course, as Lourdes did here, you can do this. But in this case, the author chose to mention enormously as the let's say interrupter instead of for sure, because you can say this actually if you want to do it, and it will be better. It's going to be too many commas, but it can be like that. It for sure limits enormously, or you can take that enormously as adverb or that of that limit, and that's going to be. So you have those two options according to how you want to do this part, right? So you can use commas here, or you can use commas there, okay? And then the rest of the idea. Okay, we're going to finish here. Please let me know what questions you have. I know this only means, all right, according to hearsay, it's according to what people say, all right? According to apocryphal myth, hearsay, it's like something that is like going around, right? People are talking about this, all right? People are talking about this. And because of that, you believe this second part of the sentence. Please, anybody, Luciana, Lourdes, Sharai, Whitney, do you have any questions related to this? Let me know if you do, please.
I think that it's clear, teacher.
Okay, okay. Then just to finish, again, because of time, we're not going to be able to work on more. Today, I wanted to work on this because with this information, you're going to be able to check your essays now, all right, before working on the right thing. Now, this is the right and the complete essay. Of course, I told you, right, there are some other mistakes, but the idea of punctuation is very interesting here. I'm going to send you this. Try to take a look at these transitional words the way. And again, this can be interesting for you, Whitney, because this is, and anybody who's interested in taking the TOEFL, this can be interesting for you because this is a prompt that you have at TOEFL, right, in TOEFL. I'm not sure if TOEFL in the last, right, let's say, version is still working with this type of questions. I think it is. In that case, this is going to be interesting for you because this is the way you can write your essay. You can have a mixture between the essay structure that I taught you and this structure that you have here. But that's it, all right? That's it. Just remember, you have the criteria. Try to follow the criteria before uploading your essays today. And we're finishing here. Any final questions or comments, please let me know. If not, I'm sending the poll as always. Please, you complete it, and that's going to be it. And it's taking some time. Okay, there you go. Please work on that. I'll see you tomorrow to work with the reading session. And Wednesday, we're going to start the last lesson to check the final details for writing before the final essay. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
Teacher, bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye, teacher.
Bye-bye. See you.
Hi, teacher. Sorry, my connection today was very laggy, but I want to ask you if you can help me a little with my essay.
Hello, Mariana. Right now it's going to be very, very hard because I have a class right now. All right, I have a class right now, perhaps after my class, but I'm going to see my class is supposed to be at 7:40. That's why the last classes I was leaving very quickly because I was late to that class. So
Okay, teacher, don't worry.
try to do
When
the
you
following,
are-
Mariana. Yes, try to do the
Okay.
following. Give me specific questions that you have. All right, try to write those questions perhaps to WhatsApp. And after finishing my
teacher.
class, that is going to be at 9:30 more or less, I'm going to be free. I'm going to check my messages and I'm going to try to see some of the details, right? I'm not going to be able to check everything, but I'm going to be able to help you at least with some details.
Okay, teacher, don't worry. I'm going to send you my questions.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, please.
teacher. Thank you
Mariana.
very much.
Bye-bye.